to start by just talking about the premise of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, there's a bug. Anyway. As you can see, I'm wearing a USA Olympic shirt. This is not about the Olympics, but it is about America in a way. Alright, let me tell you what's going on. I'm starting a series, and it's going to be called A Baby Marvel Stand Reviews Insert Marvel Project. And right now I'm gonna do The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which, spoiler alert, because y'all should have all watched it by now. Sam Wilson's the new Captain America, so boom. I am calling this a baby Marvel stan because I just now am becoming a Marvel stan. Before today, or like this period in time, I had only seen the original Avengers movie, Black Panther, then of course I had seen Infinity War and Endgame, and I literally had not seen any other movies. Like 2021, I was uncultured. And so when WandaVision came out, I didn't want to like go in and not understand all the references. So I was like, let me start from the top. I'm finna watch all these movies. If you're a Marvel stan, you know, once you kind of like start, you just get sucked into the hole. And so my whole entire Twitter timeline for the past few months has just been me talking about Marvel stuff. And then I followed one Chris Evans stan account, and then I followed you know how you can follow themes on Twitter? Well, I followed the Marvel Cinematic Universe theme. And now, like, most of my timeline is Marvel stuff. So let's get into it. So, you know, the main power players are obviously Bucky, Sam, the super soldiers, the Flag Smashers. And then we have some, you know, players in there along the way that we're going to get into. But I just want to start off with the whole reason this is happening is because the Flag Smashers are like on their mission to do whatever they're doing. Because one of the first things they said was, you know, they're trying to get the world back to how it was during the blip, or like before all the people came back that were blipped away. And I noticed a theme. So I'm uploading this video first just because The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the most timely, but I am going to go back through all of the other Marvel actual movies that I watched. But it seems like all of the villains are obsessed with like eradicating half of the human race. Like, and I know the Flag Smashers were on their like benevolent vigilante type thing, but they said we want to go back to how it was like during the blip, which is when half the people were off the face of the earth. So that's one group, the Flag Smashers and Carly. Ultron, you know, was about to blip everyone away and was gonna just drop the whole Sokovia thing that happened. Obviously Thanos, that's all I have to say. That whole thing. I feel like I'm forgetting someone. But I'm like, what is it with these Marvel antagonists and trying to wipe out the human race? And that leads me to a question which y'all can answer in the comments. I don't know what their end goal was, because by the end of the show, like, Carly became so corrupted that it was just like, what are you even fighting for now? Like, she was okay with like taking all these lives that did not need to be taken, and I just feel like she lost her way. And I was sad that she died. Like, I feel like she could have been redeemed. And Sam tried, you know, as we saw, but it just did not pan out in that way. So now I want to talk about Bucky and Sam and their whole dynamic. The show itself has made me love like Anthony and Seb as like people in real life. Like, of course I already loved them because I had been watching the movies before the series came out, but just like being able to see them for an extended period of time together and like their dynamic. And then I follow Seb on Instagram, and he's always posting behind the scenes stuff on his story about him and Anthony working together. And so just like that dynamic is so, I really love them. And it's, so I don't follow Anthony Mackie on Instagram because he's not very active, but if you go to his Instagram, as of, what's today? May 1st, 2021, when I'm filming this, he follows like one person, or maybe two, but like the one person he follows is Sebastian Stan, which I'm like, how much more of a bromance could you get? I mean, I love them. I know the producers hinted at a season 2, but I'm really hoping they give it to us, like we need it. We can't discuss The Falcon and the Winter Soldier without the elephant in the room, which is, who thought he was Captain America, John Walker? Okay, before we even get into that, like, I just want to say the whole reason I even like really got into Marvel beforehand, like pre-WandaVision, but just like when I was like going to see the movies, I wanted to see Chris Evans as Steve Rogers because that man is a rare breed. But anyway, back to Steve Rogers, actual Steve, and not Chris. Like, he literally is the perfect Captain America. So it's like, no, who do you think you are, coming into the MCU and talking about some, I'm Captain America, and then have the nerve to tell Bucky and Sam to stay the hell out of his way. I wish Bucky had not been on his whole little making amends journey that he was going on, because he really could have taken that vibranium, and just mink. Cause no, apparently there's a small, rare group of people that are saying that by the end of the series they had like identified with John's character arc and like, oh, we like him now. I still don't, because first of all, you're not Captain America. You took on that role and like had no respect for Steve, like just the way you carried yourself. You interfered with Sam and Bucky and their mission, which they did not need you on. You literally ruined that whole moment when Sam was actually gonna have a breakthrough with Carly, and just ruined everything, which led to your friend getting killed. Yeah, Carly killed him, but like that wouldn't have even have happened if you didn't meddle into what was already being taken care of. I could really go on and on and on. I want you to hear from Wyatt Russell's mouth himself, because he said that he, like, you know, is not as X, Y, and Z as Chris, and I agree. I'm sure you do too, so let's roll the footage.
What are some differences between your character and Captain America? Well, my character is not as good looking, clearly. He's not as buff. He's not as strong. He's not as nice. He's not as a lot of things. But they both come from the same place, in at least what they believe are their morals.
Okay, and while we're on the subject of John, I want to say that Wyatt Russell did what he had to do. Like, he played his character well, because I really hated him. Like, I feel like if you can evoke that emotion out of me where I like look at your face and I'm annoyed, because I really do not like that character. I haven't ever seen him in anything else, I don't think, but I feel like moving forward, if I see him in another project, I'm gonna just be like, dang, I can't even see him without thinking about John Walker, which is a nod to his acting skills. Like, you better do the dang thing. And I want to say that about Sebastian Stan too. Sebastian Stan, like, when I tell y'all that this show made me love him and Anthony, but I don't think anybody else could play Bucky the same way nobody else could play Steve or Cap, the real Cap. Nobody else could play Bucky. Like, Sebastian Stan really did the dang thing. Honestly, Marvel period, like, Marvel with their casting, that's a whole other thing, but they hit it every single time. Like, they really do it every single time. Now, while I kind of just segue from John Walker, I do want to talk about the villains in this show, because I feel like obviously we have Carly, who I wouldn't even call a villain. Like, she was an antagonist, but, you know, she started coming off from, I think, not a malicious place. So there's her. Then we have John Walker. But I feel like maybe if this was like a standalone piece and if we were like the regular Americans in that show, maybe we would be happy to see John Walker be Captain America. But I would classify him as a villain too. We are seeing it from Sam and Bucky, and since they're obviously they have this rich history, deep history with Steve and the original Cap, it's like no. And then we have Zemo, who honestly I have to say I love Zemo in this movie, and in this piece. And maybe if we had more episodes and possibly it could be explored in a future season, wink wink Marvel, we could have grown to like John Walker more. But the way, even though he came in and did his one or two good things in the last episode, it just wasn't doing it for me. Zemo, while he did wreak havoc and is the whole reason the Avengers like disbanded and like went into this crap show by the time it was Infinity War, like I do feel for him. And here's the thing, we understand why he did all of that in Civil War. Was it delusional? Yes. But his whole family was killed because of the Avengers, unfortunately. And so he felt like that was his whole mission, to ruin them. Not saying that's right, but I'm saying like we understand his villain origin story. And then by the time we get to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm not saying he should be pardoned for that, but the way he was incorporated into this show, I loved him. I think it was funny how they developed his character more, and he became like this comic relief. I mean, the whole show has comedy woven throughout it, but it's like, Zemo is this funny guy, this sugar daddy. He's talking about Marvin Gaye and how he understands the experience of a black man, and then Sam's like, what? Like, oh my gosh, he's so funny. And we don't get any of that with John Walker, which is why I'm like, no, if you say that John Walker was redeemed in some way by the end of the series, like I really can't even talk to you or have a conversation. Like, let's not do that, okay? One of my favorite moments was when the Dora Milaje came and handed John's behind to him. Like, he went, and they said, oh, like, cue Bucky saying, looking strong, John. Like, that killed me, okay? I honestly wish Sam and Bucky would have just stayed out of it. And, like, Bucky, I know he would have, but, Sam was like, we should do something. No, because he should not have been there, period. Like, but I love that scene. And I will say, one of the things I really love about this series, and if you watch the assembled episode on Disney Plus afterward, the producers kind of talked about how even though obviously like this is a show full of heroes, it's very much down to earth in comparison with the other Marvel projects. Like, they're fighting aliens, they're fighting Thanos, they're in Asgard, but like here it's like, no, we're in Louisiana, we're Madripoor, like these regular places. And the storyline itself is more about how do we move forward after Steve, what's the legacy of the Shield, and how to get the Shield back to its rightful owner, which are all, these aren't supernatural themes, One critique I saw on Twitter, people were talking about, oh my god, like the show is too woke, like I can't believe they're bringing politics into it. I feel like the show was not political at all, like it wasn't, besides the fact of, there are veterans and like soldiers in the show. But in terms of like, the scene where Bucky and Sam are leaving Isaiah Bradley's house, and then they have that little moment in the street and the cops roll up and they're like, is this man bothering you? And then Bucky's like, do you know who this man is? But obviously they're looking at Sam because he's the black man. And I'm like, honestly, that's something that would happen today. To me, that's not politicizing anything. It's just like showing a realistic scene, which is most of this show, if you take out the superhero elements of it, it's a regular show about like regular everyday things like mourning, grief, loss, moving forward and trying to navigate. Bucky's trying to like reacclimate himself to life without his best friend of several decades. So that, and then the scene where Sam and his sister go to the bank and they're trying to get a loan, and of course, like, there's the whole question of, are they not giving us a loan because we're black? I mean, these are things that happen, and I feel like people that are uncomfortable with like the slightest mention of race is kind of like, maybe you should take a look at yourself, because no one's trying to, I don't think the show is pushing an agenda at all, besides the fact that John Walker sucks. No, that there's a new Captain America and we're reckoning with that with the whole show, whether the new Cap is John or the new Cap is Sam. Like, that's kind of one of the main themes of the show. They're including stuff in Sam's life because Sam is the titular character of the show, the Falcon. I just felt like that was like, y'all need a little bit of a reality check. And so, yeah. Thank you guys for watching this. Hopefully I can make some more Marvel fans, I can make some more Marvel friends, because I have like one in real life, and then I follow a few Marvel stan accounts, but like I don't interact with them because my Twitter is not a stan Twitter for Marvel, so like, you know, they're kind of in their little bubble, but I like watching and seeing them post their little GIFs and stuff. Comment if you want me to delve into any deeper topics or specific like subjects on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All the other Marvel movies are coming up in future videos. I am gonna have some other like Marvel adjacent content besides just me like talking about the movies. Like, I'm gonna have some special guests where we can kind of have a little discourse, and I think I'm gonna film some of my reaction to the new Loki series that's coming out, and just have like a reaction camera as I'm watching it, because I feel like I'm funny and you guys will think I am too. And then maybe have me like commenting on it. But yeah, please let me know if you want to see anything specifically related to Marvel down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, because it's fun knowing that people like watching me. And I will see y'all next time.